Welcome to K Talks. I'm Kanika, and the guest that we have today has been in BSE for almost 3 decades. He has seen the markets crash, watched technology transform capital markets, and right now is at the end of an incredible career. So let's welcome Mr. Gopalkrishnan Iyer.
We've seen what we had, the open outcry system, and we had in those days what we call it as regional stock exchanges. So there were about 21 regional stock exchanges all over India, and the trading used to be on an open outcry system. There was no technology involved in that. From that, in 1992, and at that point in time we had no regulator too, but for the fact that the finance ministry used to monitor the activities of the stock exchange. 1992 came the liberalization in India, and when we had SEBI being set up as a regulator, and with electronic trading also coming into India via the NSE. That's when BSE was quick on its feet to adopt technology. So we too went in from an open outcry system to screen-based trading, which was a transparent method of trading for the benefit of investors. And from those days, when the trading used to happen, all the settlement used to be in physical paper. You had the share certificates. Then came the era of dematerialization, when the depositories were set up, and entire paper was converted into demat, and that's how the entire market evolved. It was screen-based trading and electronic trading, and electronic receipts by way of demat shares. So that's how we've got large number of investors having faith in the market, with a regulator coming in, and with the transparency that has been brought into the capital markets, with various market infrastructure institutions playing in. So we have seen a growth of the investors too in this market.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have been at BSE for like almost 28 years.
Yeah.
So how has that journey evolved?
So initially, when I joined the exchange in 1998, I was deputed to the depository, which it had just formed, it had just been incorporated, and I was there, and in the initial process of setting up and then getting companies on board and operationalizing the depository, which was the second depository in India.
Okay.
As you know that in India we need competition which would benefit the investors. So the single goal of setting up the depository was to provide a choice to the investors to have their shares in dematerialized form. And in any case, monopoly is not a good choice. I mean, it's not an option for the investors. So once it went operational, I was back to the exchange.
Okay.
And in exchange, I have handled the listing, which has been my major portfolio in my entire 28-year career.
How long was it?
It will be around initial 12 years and then 7 years. So 19 years out of 28 would be in listings.
Okay.
And then I have handled the member compliance, the investor services, exchange compliance, member inspection, supervision. So I've seen a lot of, largely my role has been in regulatory side of the exchange function.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, as the EVP, what exactly do you do? Like, can you walk me through your regular day of work?
Yeah, like I told you, till about recently, when in 2020, when I came back to assume the role of head of listings. So it's been largely monitoring the regulations which have been prescribed by SEBI, and to ensure that the companies would follow those regulations. And then there is transparency in terms of the disclosures that they make on the exchange platform. And then it is, what is critical is that if you were to know, BSE is the largest stock exchange in the world in terms of number of companies that is listed.
Okay.
So which means that many number of, and with the amount of disclosures going up, because there are a lot of disclosures these companies have to make. So monitoring those disclosures is one of the responsibilities of the exchange. Now it becomes physically challenging for an exchange to manually go through those disclosures. So we have to adopt technology, because there is a limit to which you can have resources in terms of physical resources, human resources. So we need to adopt technology in in monitoring those compliances and ensuring, and also to facilitate companies to do filing in a very transparent manner.
So right now you have a work with technology, so you have those documents, like those big files with a lot of data, and you use AI to get the specific information.
Yes. So initially, if you see, BSE was BSE was pioneer in introducing XBRL technology in terms of companies filing their structured information, so that if they had to file information, they could file it through XBRL, so that everybody would understand that language, and that eased a lot of disclosures. Even for the users of the information, it was easy for them to understand what that filing was meant to be. So we adopted XBRL even before anybody used it in the capital markets.
What is XBRL?
XBRL is Extended Business Reporting Language.
Okay, a
So
specific language for
yeah, that is for any sort of reporting, for example financial reporting, or any reporting. If you, so these are all with XML tags, specified XML tags. So you have the what do you call it, as tags which are specified as to what each data element would represent, so that everybody would understand that in that same language. So you have a library of what each tag would mean, so that it is easy for everybody to understand. So we introduced this XBRL way back in 2014, so that financial results could be understood, could be interpreted, could be analyzed in a seamless manner. Then we introduced, now we are also, now it is quite important that we need to adapt to the technologies. So with lot of information flowing to the exchange and lot of responsibility on ease of doing business, so what has happened is, now the response time to the stakeholder has to be pretty fast. Now it cannot be solely human intervened process, so it has to be a technology driven process, that it's much easier and much faster for us to
make it efficient.
Yeah.
Right.
So right now what we have done is, we are also very keen to adopt technology in the process to ease out the human errors, and I mean to obviate or to reduce the human errors that may crop up, and to have a faster turnaround time. So we have adopted AI in our processing. So for example, in one of the processes, one of the requirement of the exchange is to go through the prospectus, draft red herring prospectus, where the company makes, which is coming up with an IPO, are required to make a lot of disclosures in the offer document. Now there are certain, now whether those documents comply with the regulations which have been put out by SEBI is one task which we have to ensure that those disclosures are made, because after all this document is for the interest of the investors. So what we've done is, we have framed certain set of questions which we are using it to prompt the app that we use, and that would give me an output. So what would typically take about 2 days for a person to do it, we get it done in an hour's time.
Okay.
So it would tell me what are the compliances or non-compliances which it has observed. Obviously, AI cannot fully replace the human intelligence in terms of there is some amount of eyeballing that is required to be done, but to a large extent, to a very large extent, we can depend on and as long as, so the entire success of this AI thing would be how well you define your what you want from that.
So like the prompt, you should have a good
Yes.
skill of prompting.
Correct. As long as you can do that, you would get an output which is more tuned to your requirements.
I had this one question. Since you use AI for the files and the disclosure and everything, how do you manage that file with the information is safe with that AI?
Oh, okay. So one thing is, in an exchange environment, we all our systems, we have got a top-notch IT infrastructure.
Okay.
And all our infrastructure has to be within the exchange premises. So it is all within our control.
Okay.
So we've got if you see, exchange is a technology company. Okay, because we provide a platform, right, for matching of trades.
Right.
So our technology has to be top notch, and so much so is the safety of the information that is there in the exchange system. So all our we've got a huge IT setup to protect the data.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you must have your own AI tool. You might not be using tools like ChatGPT or something.
No,
which store the data, right?
No, whatever. No, it's not that we develop that software internally.
Okay.
We do depend on outside vendors, but we ensure that the entire setup is within the exchange setup.
Okay.
So we don't allow external persons to access our data. So we've got a very strict guardrails in place to ensure that our data is sacrosanct and protected.
Okay. So now let's move on with a very fun thing. I would like you to teach me anything from this conversation within like 5 minutes. It could be a skill, it could be some knowledge that you give me, like anything you want to pass on that you think will help me throughout, or it's something that I should remember and the people watching can maybe learn as well.
So one thing you need to keep in mind is you have to be aware of the changes that is happening around you.
Okay.
You cannot be doing your work in isolation, or you cannot presume that you won't be affected by whatever is happening around. Disruption is something which is a given thing. So as long as you are very aware of the fact that whatever I am doing today, there may be some disruption in future, and I need to be prepared for that.
Okay.
So like with AI coming in, what at one point in time used to be the domain of the software developers, now you find that you have AIs which are writing their own code, right? So there is a disruption happening everywhere, right, in every sphere.
Right.
So you need to adapt to those changes, whatever is happening. So you need to have an eye on what are the changes happening, and you should try to analyze and see as to how that may affect what I am doing right now and what I need to do to change myself.
So we have to be adaptable and be able to learn the new skill fast.
Yes.
Okay. So what according to you will be those few skills? Like one of them can be prompting, as you said, that we can prompt and code our stuff.
Yeah.
That's a very good skill. What do you think other skills that you think are very good for us?
So you should have not only these skills, but you should also have skills to uh, understand the markets, because with technology on your side, if you are doing a lot of investing, then you should know how to use technology in your investing domain. Okay, but for that you must understand what investing is all about. So that is one thing everybody must learn.
Leaving the fact that you want to go into that field or not.
Correct. Because you need to have a passive income along with whatever you're doing. So one is your passion, that you're doing something as your profession, but you need to also learn to invest.
That's how our money grows.
Correct.
So do you think that as teenagers we should start investing from now on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You should start investing right away.
Should we just start investing like mutual funds, maybe?
Mutual fund is a better way to start.
Like we could go for Nifty indexes and stuff, or do you think we should get into like actual stock trading right now?
Till you understand the markets, till you understand, my advice would be you should start off with mutual funds
and
learn stock investing through pseudo investments. So like there are various apps which allow you to create your own portfolio.
Okay.
So one thing you should know about investing is you should be able to analyze the fundamentals. You should be able to understand the business of where you would want, of the company in which you would want to invest. So you should learn certain fundamentals of investing, and based on that you can create a pseudo portfolio in terms that you may buy a stock today at whatever is the price and put it into that app and see if your decision has actually fructified.
Okay, so it's like a
simulation, correct. And once you are clear on that, and as long as you are not driven by greed, but you are very strong in understanding, analyzing the stock, tracking those stock, tracking the industry in which that stock is that company is functioning. So you need to know, and it's not necessary that you need to have 100 or 150 stocks. You can start off with 10, 20 stocks, but you must be very thorough with those industry and those stocks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything you want to like explain it to me? Maybe something about the markets or stocks. It could be about mutual funds. It could be about some indexes, how it works.
Okay. So one barometer based on which you can understand the markets is an index.
Okay.
Like index is one way to understand an index. It's a group of, for example, if you take Sensex, BSE Sensex is a index with 30 stocks in it. Now, those are the 30 well market capitalized stocks.
Okay.
And that would tell you generally an indication as to how the economy is, general indication, whether the economy is doing good, bad. And obviously when you see an index rise, it would mean there is positivity. If it is falling, there are certain negative factors which are affected. So these are all, you can say, a lead indicator. Why do you call it as a lead indicator? Lead indicator is something which is telling you something in advance of whether the industry is going to do. For example, because the markets are driven by fundamentalists, people who trade on fundamentals. There are people who trade on technicals, just see the charts and buy. There are certain speculators who do based on technical analysis. So there is a lot of buying and selling which happens in the market. But whatever money or whatever is the price that you have today is based on a future expectation, right? So if the market is going up, That is because the investors expect the companies to do well in future.
Okay.
That is why they are putting in a price today, right? So it will tell you that, so it is a lead indicator. So lead indicator indicates that the economy is going to go upwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, does the new technology as it's coming, the AI and everything, do you think this all affects how market will move?
Yes. Because if you see in India also, a good portion of the trading today is being driven by algorithmic trading.
Okay.
Okay. So algorithmic trading is somebody has read or the how the stock has performed, and based on certain analysis, based on the data. See, today data is what is very important, and that is driving the markets. Okay. How you analyze the data. Okay. So they have used this data, and they have come up with an algorithm on how the stock would behave.
Okay.
So it is a machine generated order. So you don't physically enter any order, but the system itself would generate the orders and push it to the system, push it into the trading system.
Okay.
So human intervention is coming down. So technology is being used. Similarly, there are co-location. Co-location means you have the central server where the trading servers of the exchange. You have the servers of the participants who are the brokers, which is in close proximity to the server. Why that is required? So that there is a reduction in latency. What is the latency? Between the time that you punch in your order and it reaching the exchange trading system, it has to go through
A lot of
what do you call it, communication gap, communication lines, right? If you are putting in an order from your home, it passes through your Wi-Fi. It's pretty slower. From there it will go to the broker server. From broker server again, if he is using a lease line, so many hops that it takes to reach the exchange server. But if I have a server which is closer to the exchange server, and I push an order from that will be the fastest, right? So every order with the lowest latency, supposing that, for easy understanding, supposing that takes 1 second to reach, your order from your home may take probably 5 seconds to reach. Okay, this is an example.
Yeah.
So person, if in a moving market, upward moving market, so the person whose order is 1 second, his buy price will be lower than your buy price, because by the time your order reaches, the market has moved up.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So the co-location is one thing in which exchanges are investing in a big way, because brokers, that is the ask from the stakeholders, that they would want to have co-location spaces to reduce the latency in trade. So technology is going to be used to the maximum.
Right. This is very interesting as well as very complex.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's stop with this part. I would like to ask you that now you're at the end of this career. So what in this whole year, something that you have learned after entering into this thing?
So as you've seen that I have put in 28 years, my thought process was pretty simple.
Okay.
One thing was to have discipline and focus. So exchange functioning is it's a very, very big area. Okay.
Right.
There is a lot to learn when you are working for an exchange. Like you see, my regulatory role itself, I could do it in 28 years, and there is a variety of work. Okay, it's not as mundane as anybody doing a job in a company, because we interact with lot of people, lot of companies.
Yeah.
Each one has got a very different issue, problem, which we resolve it. We guide companies into compliance. So there is never a boring day in an exchange functioning.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's one thing which drives.
Okay.
So that's, and I have, I do have very keen interest in the reading of law, and so that is why regulatory role has fitted me in my career, and I got this opportunity in the exchange, and that's where I've been throughout.
Yeah.
So the interest was only because of the opportunities that you have in working for an exchange. Has actually excited me into continuing with BSE for a long time.
Okay, and along the way you have learned how to communicate well with different types of people.
Yes, that is very important.
Very important.
Communication is one thing that is very important, because that's what your stakeholders look up to you to, for all their compliances, for all their issues that they may have. So we need to be able to communicate with them in a manner that they understand, not how we understand. Yes.
Right. So do you have any tips for me and for like everyone that to like improve our communication skills?
There is no specific, but one thing everybody should keep in mind is that you must be able to understand what is the other person asking you, what is his ask.
Right.
You should try to understand that before you try to react to what he is saying. Okay. The other person may be in a foul mood, may be in a good mood, but you must understand why is he asking something, and why has he approached you. So you need to be mindful of that. So it cannot be that, like in a regulatory role, you may have some of the companies shouting at you, possible, because somewhere he is aggrieved by the service that you are giving, right? See, ultimately he is coming to you for a service, right? So you have to be empathetic to his requirement, and that's where your communication skills is going to be very, very important. Especially in a service industry, it is very important to have good communication skills.
Okay, so basically we have to think from their point of view.
Absolutely.
And you have to be very good in observation to observe their mood and everything.
Specifically to understand the
What
other
they
person's
need.
requirement, what is his need, why has he come to you,
Right.
and why has he chosen you.
That's a very good point. Okay, so I would like to end this with a very short and sweet advice that you would like to leave on us, that we might think after this. A very short and sweet advice.
I would say be disciplined, stay focused in whatever you do.
Okay.
And you must start investing from day one. It's time that even exchanges have now started going to schools to teach, because you need to learn investing right from the early age. So investing is what you must start off. Don't fall for the tips. Okay. Do study the companies. Like I told you, create your own portfolios. That's the best way to understand whether you're thinking right.
We learn from doing it. So
correct. So, and you don't lose anything, right? You don't put money. You just go to that. Pseudo investing is what you do. You know how your portfolio is fared. You'll get the confidence. Real investing, start off with a mutual fund.
Okay.
Yeah. And what you should also do is you track the indices. See, if you go to BSE website, you will find a lot of indices. You have the main Sensex, you have the BSE 50, you have Sensex 50, you have BankX, which are specific to that industry, a BankX, oil, thematic, and all so on. Then you have BSE 100, 200, 500. Then you have mid cap, small cap. Okay. what you need to understand is you can over a period of time see or take a block and see how Sensex has moved, how mid caps have moved, index,
Okay, yeah.
how the small cap index has moved. Then you would able to understand which movement is most suited to you for
Okay.
your objectives. Then you would be able to study the stocks within those indices.
Okay.
It is pretty interesting that you must spend time at least 1 hour in studying the market movements.
Okay.
Back data is already available on the exchange website.
Right.
You can always download it on Excel and do your, since you are all into, you Gen Zs are all into AIs and
AI
this,
and stuff,
you
yeah.
can use those to analyze the
Analyze.
data and let you know
Right.
what it is.
Okay. Thank you so much. I
Thank you
will
so much.
remember this. It was a really good talk.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Kanika.